Hi everyone, it's Miss Sote. So today in our calculator tutorial, we're going to be talking about how to graph more than one graph in a coordinate plane. So we've really been focusing on just using one graph on this graphing calculator, but you can actually graph as many things as you want on one coordinate plane. And then we're going to focus on how do we find where those graphs intersect. So if we graph more than one graph, how can we find the point or points where they hit each other? So that's going to be the focus for today. As always, we start by turning our calculator on, making sure we see that blinking box. And it's a graphing calculator, so again, we're really focusing on the graphing features. So we'll go straight to the y equals button. And as you can see, there's a long list of y equals. So we could actually graph as many graphs as we want. Just for simplicity's sake, we're going to graph two different graphs. So we're going to use the y1 and the y2 feature to help us. So for our first equation, I'm just going to do a simple line. So we'll do 2x minus 4 and then click enter. And notice when you click enter, it immediately takes you to your second equation. So it's kind of anticipating that you want to graph more than one thing. And for our second equation, we're going to do a parabola. So I'll do x squared minus 2x minus 6 and click enter again. If we wanted to keep writing more equations, we could, but it gets kind of messy if you graph too many things in one coordinate plane. My window is going to be our standard window, -10 to 10 for both. I already graphed this and checked it, so the window isn't the focus of today's tutorial, so just kind of make sure it's set to this. And then let's graph it and double check that everything looks good. So there's our first graph and there's our second graph. So we now have a line and a parabola graphed in the same coordinate plane. And if you notice, there's two spots where our graphs are hitting each other. So there's 2 points of intersection. And we want to figure out, okay, where are those points actually hitting? So what is the coordinate for this point? What is the coordinate for this point? Because later in the year, understanding where graphs intersect is going to be really helpful on the SAT or ACT or AP tests. These are topics that are going to come up. So this is going to use a feature that we've kind of already introduced. We're going to try and use that calc function. And notice the calc is in yellow or orange. I don't really know what color that is. So we got to click the second button first. So I'll click second and then trace, which takes us to the calculate feature. And we've dealt with some of these before, but we're going to scroll down to intersect because we're trying to find where the graphs intersect. So scroll down to 5, click enter. And if you look on your graphing calculator, it actually kind of guides you through exactly what you want to do. So it's asking, what is our first curve? So our blinking dot is on our line, and you just have to click enter anywhere on this line. So this blinking dot is on some part of my line. I'm good to go. That's my first curve. I'll click enter. Then it's asking, okay, is this parabola our second curve? The blinking dot is clearly on our parabola. So we'll say enter. That is our second curve. Then the third question says guess. And what this is asking us to do is we're going to move our blinking dot as close to the point of intersection as possible. So my blinking dot is pretty close to that point of intersection. So this is going to be my guess. My guess is that it's at -0.426, -4.968. So as long as you get that blinking dot close to where the two lines intersect, you'll be good to go. We'll click enter. And as you can see, it actually calculated the exact point where our two graphs are intersecting. So we guessed, but the graphing calculator found the exact point, and it's at -0.449, -4.899. So we found our first point of intersection, and just as some extra practice, let's find our second point of intersection. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Click second, trace, so we can get to that calc feature. Scroll down to 5, intersect. And now I'm just going to use my right arrow to move closer to my second point of intersection. since that's what we're hoping to find. Same questions as before. Our first curve is our line, so we'll click enter as long as our blinking dot is on our line. Our second curve is our parabola. This blinking dot is clearly on our parabola, so we'll click enter. And again, now we got to move our blinking dot so that it is close to the point of intersection. And that looks close enough. So our blinking dot is pretty close to where the line and the parabola intersect. So my guess is going to be 4.468, 5.028. And we'll click enter. And as you can see, it again calculated our second point of intersection, which is at 4.449, 4.899. So we figured out how to find the intersection between these two graphs. You could find the intersection between any two graphs. They don't have to be a line and a parabola. It could be two lines. It could be two parabolas. It could be three lines or three parabolas. Any shapes, any number of shapes you can use. And you can find the intersection using that calc feature. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions and have a great day.